I call the meeting to order. Any public comment? If not, we'll move on to number 3, approval of the May 5th, 2021 Public Safety Committee meeting minutes.
So moved,
This is-
Lamont.
Second, Mask.
Motion by Lamont, second by Mask. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried. Policy issues, discussion, and potential committee determination, none. 5A, recommendations to amend the 2021 Capital Improvement Program. Wrong one. That the wrong one? Yeah, here you want this agenda. My bad, I apologize. 5A, administration reorganization to address dispatcher priority. 1, abolish one. Oh, resolution. I'm really losing her today. Whew. Policy issues, discussion, and potential committee determination. Resolution and ordinance creating criminal justice collaborating council.
So this is Administrator Leonard, if I may, Mr. Chair.
For it?
I'll just tee this up, and really Laura Yari, our Justice Alternatives Coordinator, is going to walk you through the documents in your packet. But essentially, this resolution and the cover ordinance in your packet are really seeking to implement in a formal fashion something that Marathon County has a long-standing history in doing, and that is having all of our justice system stakeholders periodically meet to address issues, questions, areas of concern, and opportunities for system change, system improvement. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Laura, and she can come up and kind of explain to you what a criminal justice collaborating council is. And then we can walk through the proposed ordinance and the bylaws that we have, and we're not asking for any action on the bylaws today because that, of course, those bylaws would be considered by the council itself if it's formally adopted by the board. But we can walk you through the thought process that we utilized and that the evidence-based decision-making group utilized in bringing those bylaws to you today. So with that, I will turn it over to Laura Yari, our Justice Alternatives Coordinator.
Yes. All right, I just wanted to start off by giving a little bit of history. This isn't something new that we're looking to create. We've actually had a criminal justice collaborating council since 1994. We are the first one in the state of Wisconsin to have such a council. We used to refer to it as the Justice Advisory Committee. And so it began way back in 1994 with when they had the estimate done to build a new jail and the amount of beds that were needed. And at the time, the National Institute of Corrections, and I still have the book, put out this book about what a collaborating council is. And at the time, it was a chance to bring all the stakeholders in the system together to look at how cases were moving through the system, to look at the causes of jail crowding, to look at programs and things that could be put in place as an alternative to putting people in jail that may have more success in keeping them from coming back. So back in that time frame, we focused mainly on the jail populations, who was causing, filling up the jail beds, what could we do differently in the community, building a collaborative team between all of the different stakeholders. As somebody moves through the justice system, there's a lot of departments involved in settling cases and moving through the disposition of a case. So we operated for a lot of years with our Justice Advisory, where we met sometimes monthly, sometimes quarterly, and we implemented basically all of the justice programs that we have today out of that Justice Advisory Committee. I believe it was 2010 or 2011, the state of Wisconsin created their criminal justice coordinating, collaborating council at the state level. They also, around the state, made it something that was required to have some sort of a oversight council to receive TAD grant funding. And at the time, the state coordinating council got involved with the National Institute of Corrections on their evidence-based decision-making project. So Marathon County got invited to participate in that project with the National Institute of Corrections in the end of 2014, beginning of 2015. And at the time, they wanted us to pull together a collaborative team. Well, we already had a collaborative team, but they wanted a team specifically called the Evidence-Based Decision-Making Policy Team. So at the time, that was our coordinating council. And so we didn't want to have the same group of people meeting twice while we were working with technical assistance and focusing on the initiatives that we joined the state on. So we combined the groups at the time, and since then have been working as that evidence-based decision-making policy team. And we've noticed as a group that we've started missing out on some of the roles and the work that we did as a collaborating council, and a lot of that had to do with the existing programs and oversight, and the importance of while we're continuing to plan for the future, still making sure that the things we've implemented are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and we're getting the benefit of those programs. So the group began talking, Lance and I talked, and we started going back to our roots of a collaborating council and what is it and what is it intended to do. And the group felt that we needed to get back to that oversight collaborating council with a more broad focus. So we sat down as a group and structured how we would want this to move forward. And one thing that we noted is that all of the other counties have official ordinances, some official bylaws that establish their council, and Marathon County has never done that. So that is what we did, is we gathered up some examples from other counties. We went back to the purpose of the council, and we're looking to make this official. I think it's beneficial that it's official, especially for our continued grant funding. And to make sure that this group stays on track with what our purpose is and what we hope to accomplish, and that we've now moved the evidence-based decision-making group as a subgroup underneath, so that we don't lose focus of that, because we still want to continue to move in that direction as well, especially as we implement new things. So the coordinating council is the Justice Advisory. It is the EBDM's policy group. This is just making it official. And you can see in the bylaws that there's a large group of people, and these people and more that meet pretty regularly. We break out into subgroups and we do this work already. So this is not creating anything new. It's just solidifying what it is we've been doing all along since '94 and making sure that we stay on track. Lance, did you want to add anything?
Sure, briefly. That was very, very good overview. I think, and we'll answer any questions you have about the way that we've set this up. But like Laura said, this is really a good opportunity. And when we were going through this, we realized we hadn't really engaged the board in the adoption of a formal structure for the CJCC, the Criminal Justice Collaborating Council. And why I think that's a good thing is that it allows us to, like Laura said, first and foremost, make sure we're not missing anything with these, with the group having evidence-based decision-making. It's a more narrow focus than the Criminal Justice Collaborating Council, and we found we were perhaps missing out on the value of those discussions that we previously had. So it's adopting a structure that gives a venue for all of those conversations, but also importantly, through the structure, My sense is that there's a benefit of formalizing a relationship and a pathway, I'll say it more of a pathway for issues of concern to come to the county board. So you'll see from the bylaws in terms of membership that there is membership both on the council itself and also on the executive committee from the county board. And again, I think that's a pathway that flows in two directions. One, if there's an issue at the Criminal Justice Collaborating Council that ultimately requires some policy or even operational action by the county board, this set of bylaws, this ordinance provides for the mechanism for that flow of those issues from the Collaborating Council to the board. Similarly, if there are issues at the board level that the board is seeking action or consideration of an issue, they can send that issue to the Criminal Justice Collaborating Council for further discussion. And by virtue of the membership of the Collaborating Council and the membership of the Executive Committee of the Collaborating Council, the county board is part of those discussions. So I'd like to, it'd be great if Laura and I were up here and say, hey, we had this great idea, but like Laura said before, we really, when we started looking into this issue, we found that all the other counties that had these coordinating or collaborating councils, they had similar ordinances and similar bylaws. Nothing before you is truly unique. This is kind of an amalgamation of all of those various counties. We pulled things that we liked. We made things a little bit of our own, but certainly the structure and the intent behind this resolution, the ordinance, I should say, and the bylaws that will ultimately be considered if the county board moves this forward, they are not unique. But I think they are helpful. So that's why it's before you today. And with that, I don't have anything else. If you guys do have questions, we'd be happy to answer them here today. But again, because this is an ordinance, a proposed ordinance, it would require approval by the board to essentially be amended within within chapter 2 of your ordinances. It would add another committee within the county board structure.
Questions? Seeing none, would anyone want to put something, or what is the wants of the body?
Are you looking for a motion for the resolution?
If you would like, that would be great.
All right, I'll move to forward that to the county board.
Do I have a
Supervisor
second?
Bizzotto with a second.
Who, Bizzotto? Second by Bizzotto. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion carried. All right, we'll move on to 5A, administrative recognition to address dispatcher priority. A1, abolish one administrative coordinator B23 within the sheriff's office and create a new position, communications specialist B23 within the sheriff office. Chad Billup.
As Chad's walking up, this is Administrator Leonard. I'll tee this up. The first two are really part of A1 and A2 are related. And as is referenced within the heading, these essentially are a strategy, a means, I should say, for the sheriff's office and the county to address a longstanding priority in Marathon County, and that is opening another dispatch channel, and we'll provide a little bit more context of how items A1 and A2 really allow us to do that.
Thanks, Lance. The reason we are coming before you is earlier this year, we had a clerical position within the sheriff's office. That person had been with us for many years and elected to retire. With that retirement, we realized that the classification of that clerical position was identical to the classification of a dispatcher. So what we thought would be in the best interests of the sheriff's office and the county was taking those responsibilities that that clerical person had and asking whether or not other staff within the office would be willing to take on some of those responsibilities, which they were willing to do. And then there was one staff member who would be taking on the key core responsibilities that are above and beyond just what I will call just general duties. And these would be things like administering grants with the Department of Natural Resources, the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, some of those highway safety type grants, being the secretary for the Highway Safety Commission, as well as a number of other higher level responsibilities. That person has started to do some of that in I guess a test to see whether or not it was feasible, and she's doing a very good job right now. That said, we have asked a lot more of that staff member. So what we are asking is two things. Number one, the ability to take that old clerical position and turn that clerical position into a dispatcher. That would mean that moving into 2022, our request would be just for one additional dispatcher that would meet the obligation or the request that we had from several years ago, where we wanted all 6 of them. We would be just one short of that, and Captain Milhausen would be able to open up that metro area dispatch channel. This will be no new dollars from the county. We're not asking for any levy of any kind in order to make that happen. The second ask, and they basically are a package deal, they would go hand in hand, is that this employee that we have doing those additional responsibilities, that she be reclassed to a higher class in order to account for those the extra work that we've given to her. Again, that would result in no new dollars because it's just a classification upgrade, and through tools like pay for performance, we would work to improve or increase any compensation for that employee. So that's the first proposal before you.
What are the wishes of the body?
Lamont moves that we go ahead with that.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Schley. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Go ahead, Chad.
The second proposal that we have before you is another reclass. What's been happening over the last couple of years is our lieutenants have continued to have increases in their pay, which has continued to push them closer and closer and well within the range of our captains. So as an example, the high top end pay for a lieutenant right now is $85,000. Let me just pull it up here real quick. It's kind of small on my screen. I should say as of July 1st, so as of tomorrow, our lieutenants will have a base of $85,668. When we're bringing in new captains right now, and Captain Weber is joining us today, just to introduce him, he is the new captain of the administrative division, taking over for Captain Plaza. When we brought him in as a captain, we had to go well above the midpoint in order to keep him away from where the current lieutenants are. So the people that he is supervising are neck and neck with him. So when we brought him in, he came in at a base rate, and he's salaried, of $89,951.40. So $4,300 above a lieutenant. The compression that we're seeing between lieutenants and captains is creating this issue. So our solution, we've worked with Molly Adzik on this, and we've also worked with Lance, is to simply move the classification the captains are currently in up 1 grade. By doing that, they're closer to the chief deputy's grade. They're just 1 below the chief deputy rate, and it allows for us to have more potential for separation when we consider onboarding a new captain in the future, as well as allowing them a higher earning potential. Again, with this, we're asking for no new dollars, and that we would use the tools afforded to us through pay for performance in order to address any concerns.
This is Administrator Leonard. I just want to add a couple of things. Chad did a great job with that overview. So one of the things we look at, and I could have brought this up with the reclassification under A2, item 5A2, but one of the things we utilize is a decision band method to evaluate job classification. And when Chad referenced working with Molly Adzik, she's the Employee Resources Director for Marathon County, and we evaluated each of the requests that you already took action on in terms of reclassification, as well as the reclassification under 5B, using that methodology. And in our judgment, it's appropriate. As Chad referenced, it moves that classification grade up one level. But as Chad referenced, it's not any new dollars up front. What essentially is it's doing, these pay ranges, these compensation ranges overlap. So it essentially offers a higher starting wage for any new person coming in, and then it would offer a higher top end for movement during an individual's career. Now, this issue that we're addressing here under 5B, I can tell you is not unique to the Sheriff's Office. It's something that periodically you address through compensation studies, and we envision doing a compensation study, a full county compensation study, in the relatively near future. I would imagine within the next 2 years we'll complete that. But right now, this is a problem that in our judgment, from Employee Resources as well as myself as your administrator, this is something we needed to address in the moment right now based on all the things that Chad referenced. So this is, again, something that would have to go to the county board for action, but it is an operational requirement based on the county board rules that are currently in place, specifically the compensation rules under Chapter 4, Ordinance Chapter 4. This is the process for the consideration of such reclassifications. It starts with the standing committee. Well, actually, it starts with the administrator, but then it moves to the standing committee and through the HR, Finance, and Property Committee, and ultimately to the county board. But again, Employee Resources and administration support the request.
What are the wishes of the body?
Make a motion to move it on to county board.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Second by Schley. Any motion to approve? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Chad. Right, then we'll move on to 5B, reclassification of the law enforcement and corrections manager and the communications manager. Oh, never mind. I'm really out of it today. I apologize. I was on vacation, you know? All right, 6, educational presentation, outcomes monitoring reports, strategic plan update. Vice Chair McEwen asked if we could be put on there for the strategic plan. I put him off 2 months in a row, and I figured if I did again, he'd get angry, so I told him he could be on here. Go ahead, Craig.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I could never get angry at you, but the purpose of the follow-up is from the 3 questions that I asked the Public Safety Committee to consider, was to look at the past progress and the future progress of the strategic plan. And you do all have the 3 questions in your packet. Does anybody want me to review any of those 3 questions? Otherwise, we'll just move on to some of the discussion. Okay, thank you. The Public Safety Committee, as you're all aware, was designated as a lead committee for Objective 7.1, which is to provide effective, high-quality public safety services. The Public Safety Committee was also designated as a support committee for 3 of the other 12 objectives, that being 3.3, 3.7, and 7.2. So, and this doesn't have to be specific to those objectives if public safety took any type of action that supported any of them. That's a positive move in the right direction too. So, but we are finishing, actually finishing up the 4th year of our 5-year strategic plan. And what I did was I did review the agendas from public safety from 2020 up until present, and looked at some of the agenda items that I feel actually supported the strategic plan from the Public Safety Committee. And I know Administrator Leonard released an update of the 2018-2022 strategic plan on November 5th of 2020. And if you had a chance to review the updated strategic plan, it lists many of the progresses that were made on some of the objectives and the outcome measures. So I'm going to just list a few of the items that I felt the Public Safety Committee took action on that supported the implementation of the strategic plan. And I know some of the supervisors were not on the Public Safety Committee in January of 2020. That happened in April. But there was a lot of progress made, during that term up to 2020 when the new committee was formed. And one of the ones that I picked out was a policy to reconsider changes for the support of sports events occurring on county roads and resolutions. That's still pending, I understand that, but it was something that was discussed in 2020 before the new committee was formed. Also, a resolution asking the state to provide funding for assistant district attorneys consistent with their own analysis of needs. Then in February 12th meeting, there was support a revision of section 25.04 for Marathon County Municipal Code for uniform addressing ordinance, and also support an agreement between the Sheriff's Department and the town of Remountain for an additional deputy to serve as a deputy for Marathon County, but in Remountain. The next one that I picked out was March of 2020. We had a joint meeting with the Infrastructure Committee at 212 River Drive, and the discussion was about issues that people in Marathon County, in the west and east end and the northern part of Marathon County, they were not able to utilize 911 services because they did not have any broadband, they didn't have phone service, and that was definitely a public safety issue. I know that John Robinson and the Broadband Task Force are reviewing these issues in their task force, and he said they were able to make some progress with Frontier by getting them to start repairing some of the old lines that they had, and by bringing in additional crews to do that. Next one I picked out was a discussion on the county's role in ensuring access to 911 service, which was related to that previous meeting. Excuse me, I'm out on my deck and it's starting to pour. Okay, I'm back. I didn't want to get wet, I'd melt.
That's sweet.
Okay, so like I said, another one in March 6th of 2020, there was discussion by the committee's priorities in light of the strategic plan and the comp plan for the next 2 years. Another one I picked out was the August 5th, 2020 update on the regional morgue task force and their business plan, which is moving forward at this time too. So, and hopefully we'll have an update on that again.
Excuse me, was it 21? Was that 2021, Craig?
The update on the morgue, that
Yeah.
was another one. That you did have another one, yeah, in 2021.
Oh, okay.
That was your CIP request, I believe, for the
Well, that's right.
business.
August, do it. Sorry.
Thank you. That's okay. November of 2020, the Sheriff's Department requested that the state to annually allocate funds to the public safety answering points. Update, you got an update on recent legislation on the new OWI conviction laws that is relevant to our OWI court. The next one I think was very significant is the Public Safety Committee supported the administrator to lobby the state to change the Medicaid for individuals that were incarcerated. Before the change, the individuals that would be released from our jail, their Medicaid was terminated and they had to restart the whole process. That was changed, I believe, in October of 2020. Now we are a suspend county, which means when the individuals are released from jail, they don't have to reinstate the Medicaid. They were just suspended, and there's a lot less paperwork giving these individuals the opportunity to have their coverage back. So those are just a few things in 2020 that I thought led to implementation of the strategic plan for 7.1. Are there any, like I said, I don't want to do all the talking. I know you're just eager to weigh in on the things that I may have not listed here. So I would just like to have a discussion with the Public Safety Committee on any of the other items that they feel accomplished, moving 7.1 forward, or any of the other 12 objectives. So I'll just pause here for a moment to see if anybody else has any ideas.
Anything further from the body? Besides, obviously, today's added things. Go ahead.
Thank you. Didn't we join forces with the fire department, that hazmat issue?
According to
Yes,
Administrator Letter, yes.
Yeah, I saw that one. I didn't mention it, but that was that was in there too with the new hazmat team with WASA.
I thought that was good.
Yeah, very important, and that's one of the outcome measures and some of the objectives that are underneath that to try to encourage municipalities to partner for emergency services.
So just a little background for the committee that have, I guess, that first time on the county board. Like this is their first term. So when I was on health and human services, we went through and you'd go through every single meeting and you'd pick out of there. And that's kind of what Craig did, because obviously Craig was on this before I was chair. He was chair of public safety. And it's a working document. So we're, like he said, we're on our 4th year. We've been doing this for a few years already, and we just keep moving on, making sure that the meetings are meeting towards are going toward the strategic plan and just giving ourselves updates. So we like to keep ahead of that, try to make sure that all the committees are doing that. And that's what Craig's basically doing here today. So just a background, I guess.
Thank you. And like I said, I didn't write all the accomplishments done, but I think from 2020 to present, I think the Public Safety Committee has done a lot of positive policies and resolutions to help move those to strategic. Yeah, I'm like Matt, I can't talk. The strategic plan forward, but also, just so I don't forget, I don't know, I think Administrator Leonard sent a copy of the template that is being used by, I know, ERC committee. And what the template does is it you can fill in items that support the strategic plan, and it has the progress and the outcomes on it. I don't know if everybody has a copy of that, but it would make things, a lot easier for the committee members and for anybody that would like to see what public safety has accomplished in reference to the strategic plan. Is everybody familiar with that template?
Yes.
We all should have it.
So, okay, good. And like I said, if ERC, Becky Frisch, who was the retired director from there, she actually developed that template. It's been revised a little bit, but if you look at their template, they actually have it filled out up to date as to what's been accomplished. And like I said, they started this, so it was, they had a leg up on all the other committees because they developed this template. So, and like I said, the purpose, of the strategic plan is, to keep moving these objectives forward. And I really appreciate, public safety and the support staff for all the policies, resolutions, and programs that they supported. And ultimately, they go to achieve Marathon County's goals of being the safest, healthiest, and most prosperous county in Wisconsin. And what I don't want to happen with the strategic plan is that it just falls back on the shelf and we don't keep reviewing it, and trying to update it so we know where we're at. And that's basically all I have to add. Is there anything from the committee members here that I can do to support the strategic plan with the Public Safety Committee?
Anything for Vice Chair McEwen? All right. Well,
Okay,
thank you very
well-
much, Craig.
Thank you. Everybody had a good afternoon. It's pouring here, so.
Are you up north or are you in Wausau?
No, I'm in Wausau,
Oh,
or
well, that's too bad.
Rothschilds. Yeah, Wausau is a suburb of Rothschilds.
Oh, yeah, you bet. All right, thanks. 7, next
Sun is
meeting.
shining.
Yes, Supervisor Mask.
The sun is shining in Mosinee.
It's always shining in Mosinee.
I agree.
Ask the mayor. 7A, committee members are asked to bring ideas for future discussion. 7B, next meeting Wednesday, August 4th, 2021. It says 2, but we'll have it at 1:30. So if we could make that change. I will try to remember it this time. And I'll take number 8.
To adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Supervisor Mass. Do I have a second?
Second, Jacobson.
Second by Jacobson. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yes, Chairman Boots?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I got thrown off by the time change.